Well, hello, everyone. I'm coming to you live this afternoon just for the sake of not having time to be able to record a video and upload it. To let you know, first and foremost, just to announce in about 30 minutes from now at 1 o'clock Pacific time, I'm going to be on WSO's channel with Steve Olson. We're going to be doing a live show discussing some very important things. Now, this is going to be quite different than many of the things that you see on my channel. We'll be discussing Q-Anon. We'll be discussing Alex Jones and primarily the sacred geometry or the matrix itself that is impacting these things. Good to see you, Lynn McGraw, Mystery Johnson, Linda Ferris, Mama Chaos. Mama Chaos, I don't think I've seen you before. Shannon, good to see you. AB, Love Matters, good to see you as well. So I first wanted to read to you from Matthew 11 right now, just to encourage you to do a few things. Because what Matthew 11 shows is truly what Christ was doing at the time. And this is 11:2. It says, "Now when John heard in prison about the deeds of the Christ," so of the Christ specifying, "he sent word by his disciples and said to him, 'Are you the one who is to come, or shall we look for another?' And he answered them, 'Go and tell John what you hear and see,' instructing them to say what you hear and see, and then telling them what's been taking place." So he's given them a definition. "The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. Lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear, and the dead are raised up, and the poor have good news preached to them. And blessed is the one who is not offended by me." Now, I first want to cover this. He says, the blind receive their sight. So all of these people in the world that you see right now, the people that you try to talk to that can't see this, that you're so distraught over not seeing this family member, these are the blind. These are the people that cannot see these things. They only see their perceived life. They only see the perceptions that have been told them. They see what they're intended to see by the enemy. So those people that say Columbus discovered America, they can't see that Columbus obviously ran into people that were here when he got here. So clearly he didn't discover anything, right? So they live in a perception world, in a perceived understanding, which is dictated. This is the doctrines of man. This is the teachings of your Father that Christ spoke of. And he says they've received their sight. When he spoke to them and explained these truths, their eyes were open to it, and now they can't unsee these truths. And it says, "And the lame walk." Now, what the lame is for many people that do understand these truths. So people that have come to this channel and understand these truths, they know them, but they don't know how to live in them. They don't know how to walk within this world knowing these things. So they are lame. They've become lame. And that might apply to many of you, that once you understand these truths, you have no idea how to function anymore. So as you begin to watch these videos and understand these truths, and more importantly, listen to the testimonies of others, because those testimonies are what teach you to walk in this truth. And I'm going to be discussing that a little bit more here shortly. "And the deaf hear." So it says that he's opened their ears, not just their eyes. The same thing, that they couldn't hear the truth, they couldn't see the truth, and now they hear it and they see it. "And the dead are raised up." So notice that all of the components, that receiving sight, receiving your hearing, and learning how to walk are the keys to understanding how to live within this truth. And so that is raising the dead. I'm not sure where the comments had just come from, but they just had vanished on me for a minute, so I wasn't sure whether I was still streaming to you. But it says, "And blessed is the one who is not offended by me." Now, obviously, many of you have already seen within the comment sections and within the attackers that many are offended by what I say. People that are trying to maintain the foundations of their false belief, because once I've spoken a truth into them, it destroys their false belief, and they feel that they have to argue or debate it or fight with you. The reality is there is no debate. What's crazy in this world, and you're going to think about this for a second, is that anyone that thinks a matter of faith is a matter of an argument should in and of itself show you how broken the mind is. The mere fact that you have faith, if you have faith in something, then it's something that is unseen. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. So that is a faith. For me to argue what you see is insanity. It's literally the definition of insanity. So comments are flying fast and far. So I'll try to actually get to some of these comments. If anybody has any questions, I've got a little bit of time before I start the show with Steve Olson. But I really want to encourage you to go to the Sovereign Witness channel. And the reason for that is that, and I'll post this if it'll allow me, I'll post the Sovereign Witness channel here. Let's see if it'll let me. In the comment section, in the chat section, because the Sovereign Witness channel is growing so quickly. I have about 30 videos that I still need to render and post and put up on the channel itself. But it's truly remarkable to hear the different variations of how this truth has healed people, how this truth has altered them, how they were broken. And even though they're still in their broken state, they're joyful in their broken state. That you recognize that fleeing from any identity within this world is the real way. The sovereignty is recognizing that there isn't anything that you need to achieve here. There isn't anything that you can achieve in this world that's going to help you in the kingdom. It's only going to harm the kingdom within you. So a separation, a sanctification. Sanctification is a separation from the world. And that's what sanctified means. So see it in the comments section. It's good to see Hopi NG. Good to see you. We're going to be getting into more of the into Hopi beliefs, because as we get into these things, there are some revelations that I suspected. And excuse me, I was talking to Steve Olson about it as well. And we've connected with a what I would call a rebel Hopi medicine woman. And we're starting to learn that the suspicions that we had within the Hopi traditions and beliefs are quite true. And some of them are good and some of them are not so good. So we're going to get into those. But just as everything else, I'm not ever going to bring something up until I know it. I don't tell you what I believe. I only tell you what has been shown to me and known. So I don't want to ever speculate on anything. So it's good to see everybody. As I said, Love Matters. April, Michelle, Vernon, Brinker, Brenda, very good to see you. Candace, Knowledge Seeker, Paula Amans, I know you. And Matthew, good to see you. As I said, Catherine, Vin, Daniel, thank you. Hey, hi to everybody. So I'm not going to leave this video up probably for very long. I wanted to just make sure that you were aware of Steve Olson's show that we're going to do here, like I said, in about 30 minutes at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I will try to cover the things that we're going to be discussing. It is not going to be an easy conversation. It's Steve and I spoke about it briefly. I'm going to be showing you something that Q-Anon had released. Now, as many of you know, Q-Anon has been revealed to be very much a work of the Luciferian system. It wasn't always that way, so please keep in mind, in everything that takes place, everything, anything good gets corrupted by the enemy. And this is why, which I'll be talking to Steve about, even we need to be very, very careful that in our path that we have to dodge and weave. We have to duck and weave the enemy, because like Alex Jones is figuring out, he's now being used, and he has been used for quite some time by the Luciferian system, and he's feeding right into it. So many of these things we have to pay very close attention to. So somebody's asking me, Catherine is asking me if I believe in Jesus. All of you who have listened to me talk for now 6 months know what I believe in. First of all, I'll say the word Jesus. I just read from you, Catherine. I just read from you Matthew 11. I read from you Jesus's words. So why would I read you words from somebody that I don't believe in? What I do is clarify the name Jesus. Even I use that for the sake of the listeners and the new people coming in. The name Jesus didn't exist at the time, so it's impossible for that to have been his name. And no, it is not a Greek translation of a Hebrew name. A Hebrew name at the time was Yeshua or Isu, I-S-U. And I believe that the misinterpretation of what people understand Christ is that they make Christ like his last name. That Christ, just as he articulates, is in you. And that's why he prayed that you would be alive in Christ as he was alive in Christ. As he said in John, for all of me is in you, Father, and all of you is in me. And I want them to have just what I have. Not part of it, not some of it, all of it. So you can be just like Christ. And that's why he said through me as being the only physical example of that day of the Christ. So through him, when you read the words and you read the original translation, it is through him as the image, the way that is spoken, I am the image. So through this example, you can be me. So yes, I do believe very much. I just don't believe in the false understandings that the church has preached to you, just as he warned. He said, don't believe them if they say that he's over there or he's over there. The kingdom is within you. The Christ is within you. So the false interpretation by the church, sorry, my microphone's gone away. The false interpretation by the church was designed to keep you from obtaining the power of Christ, to keep you from it while they maintain the control. They become the gatekeeper. They become the door. So again, I encourage everyone to go to Sovereign Witness and watch these testimonies. They are truly powerful, and I believe that if you watch them, you're going to find the pieces in your life that match and become confirmations to you that you are going through the same thing. And these confirmations, all they do is solidify that your step, that your path, the way that you are on. Let's not forget that Torah means the way, the truth, the life. One word means three different meanings. So the same meaning when he would say Torah, the original Hebrew of that word you can look up. So I have an affinity to it because I live with this name every single day. I encourage you, like I said, to confirm everything that you're going through these testimonies. And then I really encourage you to submit a testimony to put up there. I would like thousands of them, and to be able to define them more definitively in the description so you can search and find the exact same scenario that you're going through, because you're going to recognize in them the path of Christ. You're going to recognize the healing in them that is taken in you, and it becomes a confirmation to you. And once those things are confirmed, no one will take it from you. Nobody can take it from you. And that's the objective, is that no one would take your crown. There's a gentleman, Aaron, who is just endearing that I posted his video last night. I suggest watching his. Jeanette's as well, Matthew's as well, Melody's as well, Brent's as well. They are just amazing. It's just everyone. If I forgot you, please, don't be offended by that. I have, like I said, about 30 that I still need to render and submit and put up onto the site. So I believe that you're going to receive a lot from them. And so I just wanted to encourage you to that. Definitely join myself and Steve on the show. It's going to be wonderful. And I'll most likely be on Jeff Doherty's show again very soon. And we'll keep bringing more things to light. I have some things that I've been studying within the scriptures that I've been restudying, because as I've seen in the past, the Father can show me multiple truthful meanings within a single line. And so he begins to, it's like the layer of the onion. They're all different layers, all different truths, but it's all the same onion. And it's profound to me when it takes place. It comes like a download, and then I have to go back and read everything again with this new understanding. It doesn't mean that I abandon the old one. It just means that I'm being shown to bring something new, which solidifies again as a confirmation the single statement that is made, because there's always multiple truths to a single statement. And somebody asks, Sheila Abram asks, is Enki or his kin going to come and say that he is Jesus? Count on it. Count on it. Well, I'm going to be discussing this on with the Q-Anon aspect of things and with Steve today, because we are living in the great deception. We have been. That's why Christ came in the first place. There was already a great deception. The great deception had already taken place. Today, we're just seeing the physical manifestation of these. And what you're going to see, imagine how shattering it would be if a person that you thought was evil in this world could come and do something so miraculous that they would appear as a man, but yet they could control, I don't know, something massive in the solar system. They could shatter the vast majority of people's consciousness as to what was true and what wasn't. They would be recognized and seen as God, especially if they said they were. So I'm going to discourage anybody listening to that is paying attention to politics. I'm going to discourage that practice, because when you're paying attention to these things that you think are happening in the world, everything is being used for the enemy right now. You're simply being set up to be on one side or the other, in the same way that Alex Jones is being set up. To be a believer in anything other than the sovereignty of the Father in you is deadly right now, because you will be led to believe in a specific way and look and go, oh, there he is. There's the Christ. Don't believe it. Just like he said specifically, if they say I have returned, don't believe them. Do not believe them. Because he, as a man, as that man, he's not going to show up in the imagery that you've been shown. The Luciferian has made sure that you have this image of who Jesus is. That will be the one that they'll say, it's him, look. Don't be surprised if Jim Caviezel shows up and says, hey, I'm him, and does something miraculous. And 99% of Christians will ignore the fact that he said to not believe them. They will believe. The great deception is going to be great indeed, because you've already been led down this path of deception. The sovereignty of Christ, just as he said, is in you. And this is why they even used him, his life, just like he said they were going to in the book of John. They, the system, what I'm going to be discussing with Steve Olson today is precisely this, that he had to kill himself. He planned that. That's why it says he laid down his life. If he hadn't, they could have further manipulated what he was doing. But they still took his life and used it for the enemy's system, so that many will be deceived. And he warned of that very thing. So I'll get into that more. If you haven't seen that video, which is on Caiaphas, the high priest, who prophesied that Jesus' life would be lost, that is it better for one man to lose his life than for the whole nation. A preservation of the people came down to killing him and establishing a false religion around Jesus himself. That's not to take away anything that Christ said. Everything he said, which is why the red letter disciples, and I'll give you an update on that, is that Malia right now is traveling. It's her daughter's birthday, so she's traveling. So there is going to be a gap. When she is here fully, when she's moved here and we are in the same place at the same time, we'll bring you messages often. Right now, it's become very difficult, particularly with the weather anomalies that we have, with the storms that make the internet here quite spotty. I'm not even sure just how well this is getting out. Hopefully it's good. But we will definitely be talking about this quite often, and this can become almost a daily study, which is, I believe, what we're going to do. We're going to cover bits and pieces of these things, because as we discover them, as we read them together, we just want to bring what we learn also to you. So I love you very much. Please join me with Steve in 15 minutes from now, 1 o'clock on WSO's channel, and we'll go from there. I look forward to having this discussion. Steve and I were talking about it this morning, and I think you're going to get a lot from it. It's going to help you look at what is taking place in the world and recognize what to expect. That's going to be the most important thing. So you know what to expect. So when you see it, you know that I said it. You know that Steve said it. You know that we've all talked about these things and said, that's coming. So this is a forewarning of things to come. I love you very much, and I'll see you soon.